Welcome student to our English class Standard 6 Unit 4 4.4 A Mad Tea Party Part 1 written by Lewis Carroll. In this lesson we will see the adventure of Alice and her friend. But before proceeding to our lesson, let's see a brief introduction of our author Lewis Carroll. Introduction about our author Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll's full name was Charles Ludwig Dodgson. He was best known by his pen name Lewis Carroll. He was born on 27th January 1832 in England and died on 14th January 1898 at the age of 65. He was an English writer of children's fiction, notably for Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. He was noted for his facility, word play, logic, and fantasy. He was also well known for his poem Jabberwocky, The Hunting of the Snark. He was a mathematician, photographer, inventor. Alice in Wonderland is a fantasy novel written by Lewis Carroll. It tells us of the adventures of a little girl called Alice who falls into a rabbit hole and finds herself in a fantasy world where funny people mingle with peculiar creatures. Here, she happens to attend a tea party with three of them: the March Hare, the Mad Hatter, and the Dormouse. New words mingle. Here it means mix, fantasy, imagination. Peculiar. Here it means odd. Explanation of this para. This is the introduction of our lesson Alice in a Wonderland. This novel was written by Lewis Carroll. From his novel, he wants to explain us the adventure of a little girl called Alice who fell down in a rabbit burrow and find herself in a fantasy land where funny people were mingled with the unique creatures. In this novel, we will read how Alice attend the tea party with three unique creatures such as Mad Hatter, March Hare, and a quiet little Dormouse. There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea at it. A Dormouse was sitting between them, fast asleep, and the other two were using it as a cushion, resting their elbows on it and talking over its head. Explanation of this para. As Alice entered through the hole, she found herself in fantasy land. There she saw a table which was set out under a big tree in front of a house, and on that table she saw March Hare and Mad Hatter were having the tea, and in between their dormouse who was fast asleep, and they used him like a cushion by resting their elbow on him, means dormouse. Very uncomfortable for the dormouse, thought Alice, only as it's asleep. I suppose it doesn't mind. The table was a large one, but the three were all crowded together at one corner of it. New words, uncomfortable, causing or feeling slight pain or physical discomfort. Crowded, here it means of a space full of people, leaving little or no room for movement, packed. Explanation of this para. After seeing them, the little girl Alice thought maybe it's very uncomfortable for Dormouse student. All this she was thinking in her mind. The table was large, but their unique means odd character was sitting at one corner of it.
No room, no room, they cried out when they saw Alice coming. There's plenty of room, said Alice indignantly, and she sat down in a large armchair at one end of the table. New words indignantly, in a manner indicating anger or annoyance at something perceived as unfair. Armchair, a large, comfortable chair with side support for a person's arms. Explanation of this para. As the Miss March hair hatched, they cried loudly, "No room, no room," when they saw Alice while carving. Hearing this, Alice was annoyed, and in an angry tone she replied, "There's plenty of room," and, and purposely sat down on a large armchair at one end of the table. "Have some wine," the March Hare said in an encouraging tone. Alice looked all around the table, but there was nothing on it but tea. "I don't see any wine," she remarked. "There isn't any," said the March Hare. Explanation of the para. Stubbornly, Alice sat down on the table. March Hare offered her some wine in an encouraging tone. So Alice looked all round on the table and found no wine except tea. She remarked, "I didn't see any wine on the table." In reply, quickly March Hare said, "Yes, there isn't any." "Then it wasn't very swell of you to offer it," said Alice angrily. "It wasn't very swell of you to sit down without being invited," said the March Hare. "I didn't know it was your table," said Alice. "It's late for a great many more than three." New words, civil, here it means polite. Explanation of the para. On this Alice said, "It isn't very civil of you to offer me in such a way." This March has said, "But is it wasn't very civil of you? Without permission you sat on this armchair." Alice replied, "I was not aware that the late table was only for three." "Your hair wants cutting," said the Hatter. He had been looking at Alice for some time with great curiosity, and this was his first speech. "You should learn not to make personal remarks," Alice said with some suavity. "It's very rude." The Hatter opened his eyes very wide on hearing this, but all he said was, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" New words, curiosity, eager desire to know or learn. Theory, here it means harness. Writing desk, a piece of furniture with a surface writing on. Explanation of this para. When Hatcher looked toward Alice with desire, he said, "Your hair wants cutting." All this he said in his first speech. Hearing a remark on her Miss Alice, she replied very rude and harshly, "Not your remark on personal." Hatcher opened his eyes and said, "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" "Come, we shall have some fun now," thought Alice. "I'm glad that they have begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that," she added aloud. "Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?" said the March Hare. "Exactly so," said Alice. "Then you should say what you mean." The March Hare went on. New words, riddle, a question or statement, intentionally phrased so as to require inquiry in ascertaining its answer or meaning. Explanation. After some time, Alice said, we shall have some fun." Also said, "I am glad, Miss Happy, that they that you all begin asking riddles. But whatever you were asking, they you themselves not having correct answer, but still March Hare continued to it." "Then you should say what you mean." The March Hare went out. "I do," Alice hesitantly replied. At least, I mean what I say." "That's the same, you know." "Not the same thing a bit," said the Hatcher. "You might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I." New words hesitantly, here hurriedly. Explanation of the para. But still continued to their riddles. Alice was confused, and she hesitantly replied, "At least I mean what I say." On March Hatter replied, "You might just say that I see what I eat." "You might just as well say," added the March Hare, "that I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like." "You might just as well say," added the Dormouse, who seems to be talking in his sleep, "that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe." Explanation of the paragraph. Same sentence were repeated again and Dormouse too added the same words. Who was talking in between, seeing that he is awake, and replied his words, "that breathe when I sleep," again and again.
Evaluation Part 1. A Matty Party. Answer the following. How were March Hare, the Hatter, and the Dormouse seated despite the large size of table? Answer. Although the table was a large one, all the three of them were crowded together at one corner of the table. Second, what did all the three of them say when they saw Alice coming? Answer. When the Dormouse, the Hatter, and the March Hare saw Alice coming, they shouted that there was no room, means no place on the table to sit anyone. Third, ultimately, where did Alice sit down? Answer: Alice sat down in a large armchair at one end of the table. Fourth, what did March Hare tell Alice after she sat down? Answer: the March Hare told Alice to have some wine in an encouraging tone. Fifth, what was Hatter's first speech to Alice? Answer: Hatter remarked that Alice's hair wants cutting. Sixth, who all were seated at the table? Answer: the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea at the table and a dormouse was sitting between them. Second, complete the following. A. The table was dash. Answer: a large one, but the three were all crowded. B. Alice looked all dash. Answer: round. There was nothing but only tea. C. She sat down in dash. Answer: a large armchair at one end of the table. Third, do as directed means grammar. A. Give antonyms. First, uncomfortable, comfortable, asleep, awake. B. There was a table set out under a tree. Separate the subject and predicate. Answer: a table subject was set out under a tree predicate. B. C1. A dormouse was sitting between them. Pick out the verb. Answer: was sitting verb. D. There's plenty of room. State the kind of sentence. Answer: exclamatory sentence. E. Have some wine, please. State the kind of sentence. Answer: imperative sentence. F. Write the noun form of waste, wastage, silent, silence, know, knowledge, believe, belief.
Thank you, student.